you're a GP partner, a self-employed business owner by definition.
Yep.
How do you validate any new healthcare business ideas within your entity as a GP partner? Because I think it's a lot of parallels that we can draw from that. So
absolutely, because I think that's the one bit that is really missed out as GP partners, that you are running a small business. You might not feel that you are at times because you feel you're seeing patients, but actually the business decisions behind the scenes is business. And so how you are, and what's so great about the partnership model is that you're allowed to have your individual ideas and try and push them forward. But I think you're right. You can have many, many ideas and you'll get different partners who will have loads of different ideas. But it's actually what I think the best thing to do in terms of to validate this is discussion, and where having multiple partners that you can flesh out your ideas is invaluable. So for me, I think the biggest success that we've had that I've not really even scratched the surface of is our practice YouTube channel. So that's, if anyone's interested, is at Eaglescliffe Medical Practice. And obviously with the stuff that I dropped that one in, with my ability, confidence on YouTube, I thought, well, hang on a second, could I mirror this in a practice setting? I took it to a partnership meeting and said, look, they knew what I'd done already. And I said, I'd love to explore this area. And the other element is having the psychological safety of, you take an idea, they realize quite quickly that it's not going to cause harm, that it's something that I will enjoy. So they basically said, you know what, Dave, knock yourself out. So that was sort of 4 years ago. And so let's just set the background there. I don't take the channel too seriously from a business point of view, so I'm not posting regularly. It's sort of ad hoc, but I listen to the practice. So for example, the death certification rules were changed recently. There was no real public information about this, but from a patient point of view, they were going to have, that we weren't communicating effectively, that suddenly their death certificate, instead of being either the same day or the next working day, could potentially take up to a week. And when you're grieving for a loved one, it's a huge impact. And so I knew that the staff would get it in the neck, and it wouldn't be me as doctor, it'd be, whoever's answering the phone. So I was like, right, short video, push it out on our social media channels saying, this is what it is. Please don't blame us. This is the law. I think what our huge win, which I've been absolutely gobsmacked for, was, so our practice is very, the majority of the population is well educated. When I'm trying to get a medication, they're very resistant to. They would rather do lifestyle measures, which I'm completely supportive of. But then we got the data through from our diabetes remission program saying that you just weren't referring anyone. So I was like, hang on a second, I've got a program for pre-diabetics and, patients with early stages of diabetes, that they've got a non-medical or non-medication way to reverse their diabetes, and we're just not referring people. So I went, right, nuts to this. Do a YouTube video using our text messaging options, and then basically did a targeted text campaign with the ability to reply back saying, look, can you do this? Or, do you watch this video? Do you want to do this? And our referral rates went from about 1 or 2 in the past year or so to up to 75, which is just huge. And the benefit as well is that the efficiencies, because I cut out the admin staff because they're not ringing them up trying to book them into an appointment. They're watching videos, presuming at home on their mobile phones. They're not waiting in my waiting room. They're not, booking in. They're not driving. It's all remote. And, some of them have done really, really well, all from one text message that they've reversed their diabetes, shed a whole load of weight. And it's like, well, hang on a second. I've hardly touched you. And it's come now. So I had a practice meeting yesterday, and we're talking about how do we manage ADHD medications and all the right to choose pathway, which is a bit of a rub. And you've got a lot of information to get out to the patients. And it's now in this beautiful position where 4 years ago they thought they're there, Dave, you're a bit mad. But now one of the take home points from the partners meeting was, Dave, to shoot a video. And so
wonderful.
You get this it's taken a long time. Exactly that. You've taken this long time of your initial idea. You discuss it with your fellow partners or whoever you've got, and then you execute and you push it. It's not perfect. It's very rough and ready. I'm not claiming I'm the next Dr. Mr. Beast, far from it. But actually you get the information out there, and then along the way, your peers, your group, whoever you communicate with, then go, hang on a second, I can see where you're going. Have you tried this?
Yeah.
And it keeps on rolling that way.
And I suppose the key point there is you kept doing it. So
yes.
You said you started this 4 years ago, and
yep.
At the start it was very much okay, Dave, go and try that and see how it goes. Yep. And because you've kept iterating it and evolving it as you've gone on, with let's be honest, it's not a business plan or idea that has a monetized version to it. No. Specifically at the end. It is purely a way of making your practice more efficient and a happier place for your patients and for your staff, which is a fantastic way to run a business, because if you're looking at those metrics, the rest all kind of falls into place anyway. So it's a lovely sort of full circle kind of point that you're managing to do, and it's such a simple concept at the start. Patients need the information. How can we get it to them?
Yeah, and what are people? And to the point now where I'll stand up and say, like, look, if a new service is online, it's like, I want a video. I don't want a leaflet. Patients don't read leaflets. I don't want an A4 poster that I stick up on my waiting room, because the patients you want aren't in my waiting room.
And we know that people consume content in video format much more effectively than they do any other way, and they're using their phones to do it. This is well-known knowledge. And we've applied these same sort of ideas in doc support, haven't we? I mean,
absolutely.
You were doing your YouTube channel separately. I was doing my other business aspects separately. Join forces, have that back and forth, have that discussion, have those ways of validating ideas and kind of fleshing them out before you do something. And it's amazing how many ideas we didn't do because we talked about it and went, well, those aren't good ideas, but this one is, so let's go and do that instead. And I think that's a huge amount of value in that.
Absolutely. And I think certainly for me, even if you're doing anything solo, I would never discourage anyone doing it solo, but I would certainly encourage that you need someone to bounce off and someone to either say like, yeah, that's a good idea. Because I've had some wacky ideas that sort of like between you and we've got virtual assistant Kaylee, like who's been a great support as well to bounce these ideas off, who comes with a wealth of experience in her own right. But then the channel, certainly from my aspect, obviously I look at the YouTube analytics a lot. Taken off just because of like, we should do more of this, less of that. And actually it's quite nice now that we're progressing forward and you've got these ideas of like, we should do more of that because it makes, it makes more sense. And actually we're seeing people then get an ebook, book in for a chat with us because they've seen what we do and sort of pushing it forward and that the model works.
So it's almost validation as we've gone along. In
absolutely.
Some ways, it's not that we knew exactly what the answer was at the start. We kind of work it out as we go along, but we keep going. That's the and that's what you did with your practice. You kept going to keep things kind of going forward and ticking along to the point where now people are just saying, go and make a YouTube video today.
Yeah, exactly. Which is which is a lovely place to be. And sort of actually, and as with any of these project sidelines, sometimes having the idea and the motivation, because it's a very different position when you're doing it for yourself. And at times you just think, well, what's the point? Like that's how I feel. Whereas actually, if you're getting someone else involved, you're like, well, hang on a second. I'm now doing it for the practice. I'm now doing it because Matthew thinks it's a good idea. It puts a little bit of, puts a little bit of onus from this. So
that responsibility and sort of accountability comes into it as
exactly
well.
That.
It forces you to do stuff. We've talked about that with your course in the past. Saying we're going to do it was enough accountability to make you actually finish the course rather than sit on it for any length of time. So I think that always works. That works it works with our patients. We keep them accountable to come back and check in or do something that's part of the management plan. Whatever it is, we use that accountability in lots of different ways as clinicians, and you can use it in business just as effectively.
Which is a superb place. So if you want to either chat to Matthew about business, matthew@docsupport.co.uk. If you want to have a look and have a chat through, I'd love to get more practices and individual doctors on YouTube. Dave@docsupport.co.uk will no doubt leave a couple of end screen links so you can go and have a look at them yourselves. And please, please, please subscribe to the channel.